Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Scotland and we're going to return to a brewery that has now featured on the channel a good number of times before. I've had some very nice beers from these guys over the last year or so and they're getting a lot of attention at the moment, which is, you know, rightly justified based on these previous experiences I've had. So yeah, for this review then we are going to head through to Edinburgh once again, although we can say Dundee for this brewery as well, and we're going to have a look at another beer from the wonderful Vault City Brewing. So this particular beer is called Strawberry Skies. It comes in at 8.5% ABV, and as the name suggests, this one is a strawberry sour. So yeah, very curious to see how this one turns out. Hopefully it's as good as the other beers that I've had from them already. But you know, knowing this brewery, I think it probably will be. I've had some really nice beers from Vault City this time that I've been home. This must be the 6th or so beer that I'm reviewing from them on this particular cycle of Scottish beer reviews. Maybe the 7th, come to think of it. But yeah, very curious to see how this one turns out. I've heard very good things about the Skies beers. I think there's a Raspberry Skies and a Cherry Skies as well, if I remember rightly. So fingers crossed this turns out to be as good as the other ones we've had, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, let's see how we get on then. So as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Vault City Brewing before, and you will see more added to that list in the fairly near future, I'm sure. But there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Scottish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to quite a lot at the moment because I am enjoying a little bit of an extended period at home in the motherland of Scotland, which is never a bad thing. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Vault City Brewing then, on to my brewery notes. So Vault City Brewing, as I've mentioned to you already, were originally based in Edinburgh, and they were founded back in 2018 by Johnny Horn, Adele Wilkie and Stephen Smith-Hay. So Johnny worked at the Hanging Bat in Edinburgh, which is quite a well-known little brew pub, somewhere I do recommend that you check out if you get the chance, while Stephen and Adele were regular customers, and over time they all just became friends. But Johnny was a student at the time, and he was also a keen home brewer, as was Stephen, and this really was a big part of the basis for their friendship. But the two began planning a brewery together, and then Adele ended up contributing a lot of the ideas in the early days and then joined them properly with the whole concept, if you like. But Johnny was a great fan of the Belgian lambics and sours, and this rubbed off greatly on Adele and Stephen, and they felt that when they were planning the brewery there was a real gap in the Scottish beer scene for a sour beer brewery, so they decided that this was the route they were going to take, and let's just say it's gone very well for them. But initially when they were starting up they didn't think so much about making money, and so they just kind of set up what they called a glorified home brewing kit as their main brewery in Stephen and Adele's kitchen, and they began brewing weekly back in July of 2018. Over the last kind of 2 years or so though, they've been, well, I guess it's nearly 2.5 years now, we should say. So over the last 2.5 years, they've basically been kind of getting their name out there a little bit more. They've been attending various different beer festivals and things around Europe. I actually first heard of this brewery at Brewskival in Helsingborg and Skåne back over in Sweden, and unfortunately, by the time that I got to their little stance, they'd run out of all their beers. I just noticed Edinburgh, you know, Vault City, Edinburgh, Scotland. I was gutted that I hadn't seen it earlier. But yeah, they've been producing a whole lot of different things over the last 2.5 years. As of January 2021, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced around 70 different kinds of beer, and they're currently brewing their beers at 71 Brewing on Belfield Street in Dundee. So yeah, they are kind of managing to scale up a little bit. I don't know if they will start up their own kind of brewing facility at some stage, but they seem to be very happy in Dundee for the moment. So yeah, that is pretty cool, I have to say. But the brewery's name, the Vault City, it basically comes from the Edinburgh or Southside vaults, which were built into the arches of the Southside Bridge in Edinburgh, and these were home to, you know, like workshops, cobblers, taverns, and various other things. So they wanted a kind of Edinburgh name for their brewery, and that's what they went for. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I'll need to go and check out these Southside vaults actually at some stage. stage, because I looked up where they are on the map and they're not too far away from the central part of Edinburgh that I would kind of most often frequent. So yeah, need to get back across to Edinburgh at some point once this whole COVID-19 situation is buggered off and take a look actually. But I would love to see these guys open up a tap room in Edinburgh at some stage. That would be really quite cool actually. But yeah, that's all I can really tell you about Vault City Brewing for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can of course check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all the different beers that they've done. Incidentally, if you order over £25 from their own web shop, you get free delivery throughout Scotland, and I think that might be down into England and Wales as well, but I'm not sure about that. Definitely within Scotland. So yeah, that'll get you £25 will get you 4 nice big bottles of beer, and of course you can get more than that if you wish. They've always got a decent selection of stuff on there along with their merch. But yeah, let's leave it at that for the history section of the video, and let's go on and actually taste the beer then. So yeah, as you can see, the artwork on this one is quite similar to what we've had from Vault City Brewing before there. You can see right in the middle of the bottle the lovely Vault City symbol. The artwork incidentally is by Miyaki Doko, and there's a little kind of Twitter, Instagram sort of handle there for whoever that is as well. I had a little look at it, and some of the artwork that they have is pretty damn nice. But there you can see there is the Vault City Brewing symbol on the bottle cap of this one as well. Incidentally, pardon me, this is a 375ml bottle, and it says on the side here, Strawberry Skies, a blast from the past, the beer which put modern Vault City Brewing and modern sour beer on the map for most people in the UK. Due to huge popular demand and because we love it, we've made a rare rebrew for our latest release of 2020. In typical Skies fashion, we've dialed up the dazzle factor. Hyper-local strawberry is highlighted by our sour house mix culture based sour beer supported with hibiscus flowers and Madagascan vanilla, as fresh as a punnet of strawberries and as smooth as the sky is high. Ah, so this one is actually quite a rare one that I've got hold of then, so I'm glad I was able to get that. There are quite a few others that I want to have a look at from Vault City, but I just haven't been able to get a hold of yet. The Cheeky Vimto is one. I think they had one called like Strawberry Woo Boo as well, if I remember rightly. And I'm trying to remember, there was like a Ribena sour one or something that I was keen on as well. So yeah, there's quite a few different sours that I'd like to have from Vault City, but you know, obviously living over in Sweden for the most part, it's a little bit more difficult to get them, but I'm not sure if I maybe could order to Sweden, so I might do that at some stage, come to think of it. But yeah, it looks very, very nice, this one. So without further ado, I'll get it out and get on to the tasting then. Really, really curious to see what this beer has in store for us. So yeah, 8.5% strawberry sour beer, this one, best before the 24th of November 2022. That actually seems like, I don't know, I suppose it's 2 years, not just 1 year. I was just going to say that seems like quite a short shelf life, but I don't know if we can consider this beer as an imperial sour. I'm really not sure about that. But yeah, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting then. 375ml this one, and it should be pretty nice. Now, one of the things I've always said about Vault City that I really like is that they leave, or they put hops in their beers. Quite a few of the kind of modern sour beer breweries, such as the ones in Sweden, Morgendagens and things like that, they don't actually put hops in their big kind of sweet sours. But I love it that Vault City do this, because I think it just adds a little bit more depth into the beer. Not a lot of sediment in the bottle in this one, incidentally, but I love the fact that Vault City still put a bit of hops in their beers. I put a bit of hop in there because it just gives the beer a little bit more depth actually. And that's what you kind of want. So often these sour beers, I often find that they're very straight shooting in terms of their flavour compositions, but they're just really, really nicely done. So for me, a sour beer is all about the transition that the beer makes. So when you take it in, it's going to be a little bit sharp and puckering in the beginning, but then it should just juice out and roll across the palate and be very, very nice in that sense. And that's what makes a good sour beer for me. You know, I don't find sours to be overly complex, other than, for example, you know, the Flanders Reds and some of these big barrel-aged imperial sours. But yeah, for me it's all about the kind of transition of flavour in sour beers. That's what I really like. But yeah, I think this one, oh, there is quite a wee bit of sediment in this one. You can see that in the bottom of the glass. There is a few little things floating around, but it's all natural, so not to worry, to be honest. But yeah, as you can see, the colour of this beer is absolutely lovely. So yeah, I mean, when it comes to beers like this, well, you've got 3 factors that the colour of your beer can depend on. 1, the type of malts that you use. 2, the length of boil that you do of the wort. The longer that you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus the darker colour of beer you get. 2, sorry, 3, can't count, would be any adjuncts and things you add into the beer, and then 4 obviously would be any sort of barrel aging and stuff that can affect the colour. But yeah, this one certainly looks very nice. If we shine the light through this beer, it actually looks a little bit like a kind of tomato juice or something like that. It's got that nice kind of dark red colour. It's actually not a million miles away from the red colour that you have, the darker red colour that you have on the label, so I'm wondering if that is intentional. But yeah, it certainly looks the part for a nice kind of strawberry sour beer, I have to say. And when we poured this, it had about a quarter finger of a frothy, I would say slightly pink tinged head, but that's faded away to just be a very, very thin foamy layer, although it is leaving a nice ring just around the edge of the glass there. But yeah, 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head, and you can see the beer is pretty damn hazy, but when it's got wheat in it, you would kind of expect that, to be honest with you. These beers will have a natural degree of haziness to them in the first place, but if when they've got wheat in them, you know, that is to be expected. But yeah, certainly looks the part, this one, and I have to say I'm just very, very curious about this. So let's take a look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this one. I think this is going to be pretty interesting. That smells beautiful, it really does. Yeah, that's a lovely, lovely smelling beer. So what I'll say about this, the strawberries are very, very interesting in this one. So on one side of things, they're very, very juicy, but on the other side you do get a little bit of sharpness out of them, which is really interesting. So yeah, the strawberries of course are forming the backbone of this beer. That lovely big just juicy strawberry note. I think they're local strawberries. If you drive on the road between Perth and Dundee in Scotland, the whole thing's just laden with strawberry fields, and a bit on the kind of Stirling side as well actually. So yeah, there's a lot of you know, there's a lot of strawberry and raspberry farms and things up there, and I think the strawberries they'll be using will be from local farms, because I think they put them into puree and then they stick them into the brew, because it gives you more surface area, chemistry and things, better reactivity and all of this. But yeah, the aroma of this beer is absolutely lovely. So yeah, it's big, big juicy strawberries, and the Scottish strawberries I think are very distinctive in that sense. They've just got a little bit of sharpness to them in a little way, but they're very, very juicy. So that kind of forms the backbone of this beer. You might be forgiven for thinking there's a few other little fruity complexities to this one, like, you know, a little fig, or, you know, a little bit of kind of blackcurrant, or maybe something like this. But for the most part, the fruity notes are straight up strawberry. This beer does have hops in it as well, so I mean, I would guess that they'd be putting like either a German noble hop, you know, like a Hallertau, a Tettnanger or something like this, or it could potentially be an English hop, like a little bit of, you know, Bramling's Cross or Endeavour or something like that, that's going to give you a little bit of fruitiness. So that may well be the reason why you're getting a little bit of other complexity in the fruit there as well. And yeah, remember that quite often with these sour beers they'll add like an older hop where the alpha acid isn't going to take away too much from the sourness of the beer. But I wouldn't say that Vault City are an overly puckering sour brewery, if that makes sense. They are more, there's a little bit of sourness to them, and then they're more about the kind of juicy and sweet side of things, the Scottish sweet tooth obviously. But underneath that juicy fruity note you get a lot of wheat in this one. You can smell that big wheaty backbone in the beer as well. So yeah, there's a lovely big kind of wheaty edge to this beer, absolutely. Yeah, nice big sort of soft wheaty note in there. You can get the vanilla kind of mixing in with that. I absolutely love that. And you can smell just a little bit of that kind of floral thing from the hibiscus flowers. I've only had a couple of beers with hibiscus flowers in them, so it's not a flavour that I'm too familiar with, but I'm sure we'll be able to pick it out when we actually have a taste of the beer. But again, this beer is, you know, remarkably straight shooting. Yeah, and I've said this about a lot of these kind of sweet sour beers, although Vault City I think do, as I say, add a little bit of complexity to the beers by using the hops. So you do get a wee touch of earthiness out of this one. There's a little bit of floral character, and also a little bit of a kind of lighter grassiness to the beer as well. But it's a beautiful aroma, this one. Lovely big juicy strawberries, very slightly tart and sour, 1 or 2 other little fruity complexities in there. Nice big kind of wheaty bready base in there with a lot of vanilla coming out of it. And yeah, the aroma of this one is just very, very nice. So I just have to say, I'm very, very curious to see what this beer has in store for us. So let's just go ahead and try this one then. So this one is the Strawberry Skies, 8.5%, I guess we can say Imperial Sour with you know, Tayside strawberries, can we call them that? Local strawberries to the Dundee area, a little bit of Madagascan vanilla beans and some hibiscus flowers added into the brew. So yeah, let's have a little taste of this one and see how we get on. Sláinte, skål, cheers. But yeah, that comes across very, very nicely. Again, it's if you've had other sours from Vault City, this one I think is it's kind of typical of what you expect from these guys, but it's just really nicely done. This one is very, very good actually. So yeah, the fruity side of this beer I think is well, all of it is just very, very nicely executed. Yeah, again, this one is what I was saying earlier. You get a little bit of the kind of sharpness and tartness coming in when you first take this beer in, and it's lovely. Then the way everything just kind of smoothens out and gives you the sweet side of the beer. That's what this one's all about. So I'm just going to say massive thumbs up to Vault City again for this one. They've pulled off another just top class sour beer here. So awesome stuff. It's really very, very nice. I mean, yeah, it's lovely how this goes together. So where to start with this one? I mean, as I said earlier, it's actually got a really kind of straight shooting flavour profile, this, but it's one of these things that just fits together, and it's really, really very, very nice. So yeah, as I say, when you take this beer in, you get a little bit of sharpness off the strawberries just behind that kind of front tip of the tongue, and as you just go in there, after it, the fruits just roll a little bit further back over the kind of front part of your palate. But yeah, the middle third of your tongue and the back third of your tongue are just they're kind of blanketed with that kind of soft white bready, wheaty sort of thing, which is again really, really nice. So yeah, I really like how that goes together as well. I mean, it's just a soft, the wheaty note there, and it's very smooth. I think they use locally produced wheat as well, so when you get these beers you really are getting a proper Scottish sour actually, which is nice. But yeah, I think they use local barley as well if I remember rightly. But yeah, you can feel that nice kind of smooth, kind of white bready malt base there in the middle third of your palate there. It does develop a little touch of graininess the further that you go into the aftertaste, but then as you go to that border region between middle third and back third of your palate, you can feel there's a little bit of a sort of bread crusty kind of thing, and then on the back third of your palate you can feel it thickens up a little bit, and that's the wheat. That is absolutely the wheat kind of coming out of this one. But infused into both the middle third and the back third of your palate, although particularly the middle third, you get that lovely kind of Madagascan vanilla quality out of this beer. The vanilla notes that come out of this really just add another layer of depth into the beer, which I think is really nice. There is a little touch of a kind of floral character to this one as well. I mean, you get the hibiscus flowers, and I think they come out on the back half of that middle third of your tongue actually. And again, they're just adding another layer of complexity into this beer, which works very, very well for it. Absolutely. Yeah. It's beautifully executed, this one. Again, as I say, it's a remarkably straight shooting flavour profile, this one, but it's just executed so well. So thumbs up to Vault City for this one. I think they've done an awesome job here. Absolutely. Yeah. It gets a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, I think that kind of covers the malt base, to be honest with you. Like I say, soft and bready in the middle third of your palate, then a little bit of graininess in the border, a little bit of a thicker wheaty note on the back, then a good little bit of vanilla kind of infused throughout the whole thing, but particularly on that front half of the middle third of your tongue. On the back half of the middle third of your tongue, there's maybe a little bit more of a kind of, that's maybe where more of the hibiscusy kind of flowers come out, which I really like. But yeah, it's got a nice little bit of sweetness there in the middle third of your palate as well. The alcohol is giving it just a wee bit of flavour, so maybe you get a little touch of a very slight kind of Werther's Original type flavour to the beer as well, actually. So I really like how this one goes together in that sense. So a big thumbs up to Vault City for the malt base in this one. I think that gives you that kind of says as much as we need to about this one, other than the fact that there's maybe one or two little woody undertones to the beer. But yeah, let's focus on the the hoppy side of the beer then. So in the back corners of your palate, there's a little touch of earthiness there, and again, it's quite noble-like. It's almost German noble-like. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a Hathertau or a Tittnanger, or you know, perhaps it could be an old Czech Sats or a Slovenian Styrian Golding or something like that. I'd be curious to know what hops they use in their beers. But as you move further forward from that, it gets a little bit of a herbal quality. Then as you reach the kind of front corners of the palate, there's just a little bit of a lighter, you know, there is a little bit of a kind of floral aromaticity to the beer. Then round the front curve of the tongue, it's lighter and more, you know, it's a little bit lighter and more grassy, to be honest with you. So again, I really like how that comes across in this beer. So thumbs up to Vault City for that. I think it's executed very nicely. So yeah, lovely stuff. But let's focus on the fruity side of the beer then. So as I always say, when you add fruit into a beer, as an adjunct, it always comes out, it always just suppresses a little bit of the green side of the hop around the edge of the tongue. You can feel that there. There's big, juicy strawberry notes on that kind of front edge of your tongue there, and it just really adds a very, very nice depth into the beer. So I really appreciate that about how this beer goes about its business. So yeah, awesome stuff in that sense. But yeah, as I always say, on that front third of your palate, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. So for me, the hoppy side of this beer, it has that very kind of soft, you know, it has that very kind of soft, just juicy, fruity character to it. I mean, I'm trying to remember what hop it is that can give you strawberry these days. Is it Talus? I've got a feeling that Talus is one that can give you a little bit of strawberry, and there is another new hop out there that can give you a little bit of it as well, and maybe one of the New Zealand ones. So there's something in my head that's saying that, but I think if this beer's been out for a little bit, Talus is only a really new hop. This year, come to think of it, although it was released with its experimental name a few years back, so I don't know, but something about the green side of the hops makes me think it could be a little bit of Northern Brewer, and that's a very good popular hop to use in the Doppelbox. The other thing, as I say, could be Bramling's Cross from England, or Eureka from the States is a good one for giving you some of these fruity characters as well. Endeavour, I think, which is a hop I only encountered recently, can give you some of these fruity notes. So I'd be curious to know, but yeah, for me, the kind of front third of your palate, the oily part of the fruit that comes from the hops is quite, you know, it's quite, how would you say, it is quite nice and juicy in a sense. It is just quite nice and light and figgy, and maybe you get a little bit of a kind of blackcurranty note on the front half of that front third of your tongue. So yeah, I like that about this beer for sure. But yeah, the flavour profile of this beer, I think, goes together very, very nicely. So big thumbs up, you know, big thumbs up to Vault City for this. They've pulled it off nicely, and as I say, the juicy strawberries that you get, they kind of come around the edge of the tongue. You get a little bit of sharpness. You get a little bit of sharpness in the beginning when you take it in, but otherwise it's a really, really just solid beer, this one. So big thumbs up to Vault City for this. Actually, I think this goes together very, very nicely. So yeah, it has my seal of approval, if you like. So yeah, just a beautifully executed beer, this one. I've really, really enjoyed this. I might need to see if I can order the cherry skies and stuff like that from somewhere, and the raspberry skies, if they do it. But then the next time I come home to Scotland, which will probably be September now, it looks like my February trip isn't going to work out, but the next time I come back to Scotland, I will see about doing another order and getting a few beers in from Vault City to review for you, because they've always got some really, really nice stuff there. But yeah, awesome, just awesome beer this. So try this if you get the chance. I can see why this one was really highly rated. It's again very straight shooting, but the flavour profile of it is just beautiful. It's just really nicely executed. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, to round off the review, I would describe this beer as being, you know, it's at the kind of top end of mid-bodied, bottom end of full-bodied. I think in fairness I'm maybe drinking this one a little bit, I think I'm drinking this one a little bit too cold actually. I maybe should have let it warm up a little bit more. But yeah, it's got a lovely, for me the mouthfeel of this one is lovely and oily and very smooth and thick at the same time. So it's got a really good blend between being kind of creamy and being oily at the same time. Carbonation is very, very smooth in this one, and again it's just the mouthfeel in this beer is just really, really very, very nice. So yeah, I really like how this one, I really just like how everything kind of fits together in this beer. It's the flavour profile is great. The malt base is lovely and smooth, and it develops a little bit of sweetness later on. You can feel a little bit of the oaty thickness in the middle of the palate, and that's, to be fair, I never said that in the actual flavour profile, but the oatiness in the middle of the beer is kind of amplifying the vanilla a little bit for me. But yeah, you can feel that nice, smooth and soft breadiness there in the middle of your palate. There's a nice little bit of a hoppy character to the beer as well, but this will be very low bitterness, you know, 10 IBUs, if that. You know, Hefeweizens are like 15 IBUs, and it's got less bitterness than that, so I'd say maybe about 10 IBUs to this beer, if that. And then the fruits for me, very, very soft and very, very juicy. A little bit of oily character to them as well, but you do get a little bit of that, and the tartness that you get out of this beer is really quite minimal. It just really comes out in the beginning actually. But yeah, it's a beautifully, beautifully executed beer, this one. And it gets a massive, massive thumbs up from me. I think this is very, very nicely done. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This one was the Strawberry Skies, an 8.5%, I guess we can say, Imperial Sour. Wheat-based and oat-based, with strawberries, local strawberries from Tayside, some hibiscus flowers, and then Madagascan vanilla beans as well. So yeah, let's leave it there. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Vault City Brewing. I hope that you guys have enjoyed my take on this one, and you should hopefully see one more before the end of this cycle of Scottish beer reviews. I do have one that I think will be very, very interesting actually, and I was lucky to get a hold of this last one that you're going to see. But yeah, thanks again for watching. Check out my social media. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Do make sure you check out some of these Vault City beers if you can. Like I said, orders over £25 shipping, you'll get those free throughout Scotland. But thank you again for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Slàinte, skål, cheers. The Strawberry Skies, 8.5% Imperial Sour with strawberries, obviously from Vault City Brewing. Originally in Edinburgh, but now brewing up in Dundee. Slàinte, skål, cheers.